Today we're gonna be playing King Von Jeff because homie steady rocking me, enemies be blocking me, and I ain't even worried about it because I got that rock on me. Boy, I'm talking casualties, massacres, tragedies. I'm sorry, I tried to spit a little bit for y'all since I'm gonna be spitting with Jeff. Anyways, let's get it.
Whatever's left, let the buzzers eat it. Quick with it, clean record. Mayweather, undefeated. He came and he saw and he conquered. I got a slay at the concert. You know the story, the tortoise in here. You want the glory, your nose in the air. I couldn't care less about your money, phone, and your pair of shoes and your side hose.
What's good, YouTube? Big Unk, Chaos. I know it's been a little bit of time, but I've been busy helping out family members move and being a good person in my community. But today I'm going to be showing you guys King Von Jeff, one of the least, I guess, honestly, powerful builds I've ran into, but nonetheless kind of fun, just with the fact of how mobile you get and how much activity you have, and the fact you actually get to use all of your kit at once. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to let me know in the comment section because Big Unk got you covered. Don't even worry about it. Now, I want to start off by saying that Jeff is not, at least the King Von version Jeff, is not the type of guy that's meant to solo. He is nothing compared to Blade or Squirrel Girl or Moon Knight or even Thor. To be honest with you, this might be the single worst character build, at least, in this game mode. However, he's so much fun, and with a good team, you're able to do a lot with him and make a lot of things work that you shouldn't. One of the key takeaways of Jeff is his complete access to mobility and the ability to scale with infinite damage. To let you guys know exactly how that works is Jeff can essentially swallow enemies, and for every 10 that he swallows, he gets a 15% damage boost, a 15% health boost, and a 15% size increase. To me, that's probably one of the best ways of playing it. And although I do think his damage is a little low, combined with the bubbles and the overall set of good gear, you're going to be able to do a lot with them. So let's break down exactly how you want to pilot King Von Jeff. Now, naturally, we're going to start off with the actual build of Jeff. Now, I want to be very clear here. This Jeff is not nearly as fine-tuned as my Blade. He doesn't have nearly as much output damage, precision damage. If you look at his stats, he doesn't compare. That said, he's still viable, especially along the earlier pre-100 Nightmare tiers, and I'm confident that if we were able to get him some better gear, better accessories, better exclusives past that 620 threshold, I'm confident that we'd be able to get him into those 120 Nightmare tiers with no problem. Now, assessing Jeff's overall stats, he's one of the few characters where I put a little bit more into his traits than normal, because with this variant of Jeff, essentially you're just going to be trying to farm your ultimate to increase your damage and increase your splash radius. You've got some obvious stats into things like damage bonus, output, of course, and the majority of his blues are going to be selected. Now, for those of you who are confused on one thing, you saw one here. The Big Fish Frenzy, the ultimate that Jeff uses. Fun fact, that does not stop. What I mean by that specifically is just that every time you swallow at least 10 enemies, you get a 15% damage bonus, size increase, and max health increase. That happens every single time, which was honestly the primary way that I utilized Jeff. I utilized his ultimate with how fast it was coming from the King Von build, and because of that, I was able to increase his output damage to a substantial rate. A lot of people think that it caps out after like 3 times. It does not. Your character may not get much bigger, but you will get that damage increase and that health increase, and you'll be able to see that during my matches in the game. Now, to break down some of the splash points and exactly what they do, when Splish Splash Pew Pew, I'm just gonna call it Splash, hits the ground, it leaves residual water. So this build essentially is going to be focused around spraying all the time, letting that thing fly, blah, blah, blah. That's why I call it the King Von Jeff build. I decrease the interval using my gear, so now the interval between the Pew Pew fires is cut down by 235%, 3 into the Pew Pew charges. Of course, we got 1 into here. The Aqua Burst hits an enemy affected with drowning from exclusive gear effect. That's a gear piece I have yet to acquire properly, honestly. But because of that, it'll give an additional 50% of drowning damage and reduce the Aqua Burst cooldown as well. That's going to be your alternative primary fire. When Splish Splash Pew Pew hits an enemy, it gradually increases the explosion radius and damage of next Aqua Burst. So this is just a lot of incremental, exponential damage. You get 3 additional fork streams, which are 60% damage bonus. Finishing off with Splish Splash Pew Pew, the slow rate is 10% of the Splish Splash Pew Pew damage increased multiplier, up to 30%, which means you can slow down the enemies up to 30%, keep them from getting in your gear, keep them from getting in your face. When Splish Splash Pew Pew hits a bubble, this is going to be a huge one here. The bubbles have a lot more damage than I anticipated. So throw the bubbles out and essentially spray into the enemy packs while trying to hit the bubbles because there is piercing damage. And if you do that, you're gonna get a huge output of damage. Damage Jet with heavy bubble pops inherits 600% of Splish Splash Pew Pew's damage. So as you upgrade and get better gear and get better things towards that Splish Splash Pew Pew, what's going to actually happen, oh, I need to change this gear to this one. What's going to actually happen is it's going to increase the overall damage, and you're going to get a portion of that damage onto Jeff when it comes to his attacks. Next up, obviously, we've got our final one. Participating in KL restores a bubbles charge. Now, for those of you who are confused, the bubbles and the spray are going to be the version for King Jeff here. You want to spray the bubbles, spray the enemies, get that residual damage. You are not going to be the high damage dealer of the game, but what you will be is you will be the crutch that keeps everyone alive and maintains order. Now, between critical and precision, it really does come down to your own personal preference. I'm at the point right now with my Arcana that I have, the Realms, where I've got 750 extra health, so I don't necessarily need certain gear points toward health and whatnot. I've basically gone all in on damage with this build, and I think that that's probably the best way you can do it with Jeff. I would not recommend this as a solo build just because the enemies end up chasing you up so quickly. However, if you're able to get the game mode where it has a timer-based thing, Jeff is almost unbeatable until you get to the boss, because you can just run away from the enemies. So that's something very important to keep in mind. Now, when it comes to positioning, as well as just movement, you want to essentially never be standing still. Utilize your ultimate as much as you can to swallow as many enemies as possible, but don't forget to create some actual distance here. Your Jeff is a lot bigger than most characters in the game at this point, so he's going to be having a lot of problems when it comes to AoE attacks and those long-range divers that like to dive on your guy, as well as even just the ones that got the range, because his hitbox is so ginormous. So I would highly encourage each of you to consider that whenever you're piloting him. Something else worth noting, Jeff is going to do way better with the Squirrel Girl, not one that's AFK, but much better with the Squirrel Girl who's actually using the stun build, because then you're able to completely take advantage of the enemies, create a lot of that AoE damage and pressure, and just move around a lot. You don't want to be using this as a solo run build, in my opinion, unless you've got the god tier equipment, mainly because of the fact that you don't want to be fighting uphill battles. I also don't believe that this Jeff is very good against bosses, even if he has the best gear setup possible. I don't know, the 3 different waves I feel like it lowers his damage and his aiming capability. That's just my take on it. Overall, I do think that King Von Jeff is a fun build. I just don't think he's that good. I think that more people would be willing to play him if, for some reason, NetEase decided to add back some of his old changes, maybe some more of the cards to boost his damage, because right now, the underground build of Jeff is definitely going to just be your overall better pick for anyone who's looking for it. Now, I will say that anyone who wants any help when it comes to climbing or level clearing, hit me up in the Discord. Big Unk's been carrying people for a minute here, helped a good friend of mine get up to 60 with 2 different characters. And the thing about carrying people in these lobbies, one, don't be like the Squirrel Girl who's AFK, piece of shit. But if you are carrying people, just make sure you're able to take care of the level of where you're at so you don't fall into the loop of relying on others. And as I said before, Jeff is going to probably cap out around that 100 mark or so, for me, at least when it comes to the build that I've been able to be successful with him. Solo, it's a little easier to get to those higher points, but then you run into the problem with the bosses. So for anybody who wants to play Jeff, you probably want to go for the underground build, the headbutt, as I like to call it, the headbutt build. But, King Von Jeff is fun, super engaging. The little water pools you're seeing on the ground is causing AoE damage, slowing down the enemies, which is a great way of keeping them away from me. Overall, though, I think that Jeff is a great character. I don't think he's as bad as a lot of these people seem to be putting him out as. But if you enjoyed this build or you want more content, be sure to let me know in the comment section, because Big Unk's working on the Blade Sword variant as well as Thor. And if you guys let me know in the comment section which one you want first, I'll be sure to drop that one. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have an excellent day. Oh, I almost forgot. Be sure to tell your auntie that I said hi.